I'm Jonathan Reed with the Crimson White. Justin Zimmerman, the UA student who was called a racial slur outside the Delta Tau Delta fraternity house on Friday, stopped by the office of the Crimson White to talk about his experience. Is this something you've experienced before?
Relatively throughout my life, you always have certain incidences of people saying ignorant things. I can remember the first time I was ever called was when I was 6 by Robert Overmeyer. But, it doesn't typically happen to me, no, not at all.
Has this happened to you before at the university?
No. My stay at the university, for the most part, has been great. Obviously we had incidences with Kendra Key and swastikas being drawn on her poster and things such as that, but there's never been a direct incident that I've ever been a part of where any fraternity boy or just regular person has ever yelled a word at me until now.
Do you know other people who this has happened to?
Well, yes, actually a lot of my friends and even a few people I don't know have talked about how they've been called during their stay here by numerous fraternities. Delta Tau Delta being one. I've also had people of other races and other ethnicities and other religions tell me things. I've been told by people of the Muslim faith that they've been harassed by their professors for being Muslim. One incident was someone that, I'm not going to name her name, of course, said that a professor said, "Isn't it better to stay out of the Middle East because you don't want to be beheaded?" I've heard of stories where people were in Spanish classes where people were told, were writing sentences in Spanish saying the Mexicans mow my lawn. So there's been other incidences that people have told me now that I did not know until now.
Why speak out? Why talk about it?
I decided to speak out about it because a lot of times things like this go unreported, as I just told you with some of the stories I've heard of people who have told me they were just too afraid to say anything. And when you don't say anything, you give it the idea that it's okay. We're supposed to be an international university, and we're supposed to be a university of inclusiveness. And if nobody says anything, then nothing's ever going to change. It's not okay to disrespect anybody. I know that I've been criticized for making a big deal out of nothing, and I've been told that I just want my 15 minutes of fame. But the truth of the matter is that things need to be told. I didn't expect it to quite get this big. But obviously, there is an issue when anybody uses a racial epithet at you in public at any particular moment, regardless of whether you think the other race uses it just as much. That's beside the point. My name is Justin Zimmerman. You can call me Mr. Zimmerman. I never told you you could call me.
What action should be taken against this person?
I have stated more than once that I believe that he needs to be expelled, and I will continue with that statement. I don't know who he is. I don't know what he looks like, but I do know that he yelled the word and he admitted it. We are supposed to be a university that has a zero tolerance policy when it comes to discrimination, whether that be religion, race, gender, sexual orientation, or anything else. So, as a university that claims to have a zero tolerance policy, it makes only sense that you would expel him. Nowhere else in this country would this be allowed except in the South.
What should the university and the student body learn from that?
What I want the student body and the university to learn more than anything is that this isn't about me being African American and him being white. People have tried to simplify the argument and simplify the problem. The problem isn't just black and white. The problem is differences in culture, which isn't necessarily related to just race. We have a university that, for the most part, we're all socially segregated from one another, from Greek to non-Greek, to religious to non-religious, to race, of course. But there is more to it than that, and we have to be able to figure out how to include one another in everything and how to actually work with one another, because we do not do that at this particular point at the University of Alabama. We have all these people of high intelligence who refuse to talk to each other simply because we're different for one reason or another, and that has to change. And that changes when somebody says something and says that it's wrong.
What have you learned from this?
Sometimes you have to be willing to take a stand for something. It's not always going to be easy, and you're sometimes going to be criticized harshly for what you believe in and what needs to be done. But the bottom line is, when you know something's wrong, you have to stand up, because, like I told you, there were a million people that this happened to way before me, and nobody said anything. And thus, nothing changes.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I would just like to say that I know that it may seem like I'm hypercritical of the university, but that's only because I love the university. The university has given me my bachelor's degree, and it's going to give me my master's degree. Obviously, I like being here. The problem isn't the education or the academia. The problem is that our social dynamic at our school has not reached the level that it should be for a higher institution. And it needs to get there now, and it needs to get there with the help of the administration as well as the students.